Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Blooded. My name is Dave. This is Whiskey Blooded, where we review whiskey, obviously. And today is Whiskey Wednesday. This is not a luxury whiskey. Kind of funny name. Let's talk about it for a second. This is a Compass Box blended Scotch whiskey, bottled at 53.1% alcohol, cask strength. I paid $190 for the bottle. It is fairly rare. They made 4,992 of these in 2015, July of 2015. So, what does "this is not a luxury whiskey" mean? The cool part about Compass Box is that their owner and distiller actually talks a lot about their whiskeys, is very transparent. So you can actually, part of what I talk about will be information that he's given. You can actually Google Compass Box "this is not a luxury whiskey" and find a very short YouTube video by their owner and distiller that talks about this. So I'll go into some of the stuff he goes through. So number one, it's a very cool looking bottle. It is meant to be sort of artistic for a reason. It is a pun on an old surrealist painting from the 20th century, which was a painting of a pipe. And underneath the painting of the pipe, it said, it said, "This is not a pipe." So painting of a pipe, this is not a pipe. Obviously was a pipe. Not a luxury whiskey, $190 rare whiskey. It's obviously a luxury whiskey. So part of what you would also hear him talk about, and what I'll talk about, is that they made this whiskey to make you think about luxury. What is luxury about? And is it about the bottle, the packaging, the rarity, the taste, the price, the value, the distillery, the story, the age? What is it? It can be different to everyone. I would define, luxurious whiskey for me as something that is attainable. I don't really love extremely rare whiskeys. They're pretty frustrating to whiskey collectors and drinkers. That's, for me, something that's of high quality but is attainable. That's my definition. For you guys, it might be luxurious whiskey is the whiskey I could never get my hands on, and I'd never be able to get, and only the richest of the rich people, or the people that are the most involved with the business, could get their hands on. It's different for everyone. For other of you, you might say luxurious whiskey is something that tastes really good and it fits your budget very well. So they wanted us to think about this. They also wanted to tell us about what's in the whiskey that we're about to buy, which is why they have on the back of the bottle a link to the sourcing information and the percentages of what is in this blended Scotch, because it is a blend, as we've talked about. That's what Compass Box does a lot of times. All the time. They're blending good and interesting Scotch whiskeys. So this is what the company's taken flack for. Before we go into what's in the bottle, which is here, before we go into that, I would like you all to go to compassbox.com/transparency, I believe is what the link is. If not, then just Google Compass Box Transparency Campaign or Compass Box Transparency and sign their petition. So why they're getting in trouble, and this is why I don't think it's terribly stupid. I get why they're getting in trouble, but it can be changed. They're getting in trouble because on this sheet, which we're about to go through, they disclose the ages of each whiskey in the blend. They have a 19-year-old, two 40-year-olds, and a 30-year-old in this blend. So they have some really old stuff in here. But this sheet they published, and as their other whiskeys, they're extremely transparent. So why are they in trouble for this? Because Scotch law says that you can only disclose just the youngest whiskey. So why do they do that? They do that so you don't get duped. So you don't go into a store and find a whiskey and it says, this whiskey is a blend of 16 and 50-year-old whiskeys. And then you find out that it was 99% 16-year-old whiskey and 1% 50-year-old, and you just paid way too much money for something that's basically a 16-year-old whiskey. So that's why they have this law. They don't want people getting duped or tricked or not disclosed. But that's not what Compass Box does. Compass Box tells us the exact percentage of each fill and what it is, where it came from, and how much it is. So they're not trying to dupe anyone. They're just trying to be transparent so we know exactly what we're buying. So with that being said, rant off, let's talk about what's in this one and why it cost $190. So this is the, I'm gonna pull this up here. This is the, before they were knocked, this is their disclosure of what's in there. So you'll see at the top, I don't think you guys can completely read this, so I'll read it to you. The top is most of what's in here. 79% of the source is 19-year-old Glen Ord Scotch that was finished in sherry butts. So, and matured in sherry butts rather. So this one is, it's gonna give it that sherry floral sweetness is what it says. The next two are actually 40-year-old grain whiskeys, which give it cocoa, buttery, coconut, vanilla flavors according to them. And then the very last, very small percentage, and so those middle two, by the way, those were about 17%. The last one, sorry, I'm kind of off camera, but I'm trying to hold this thing up for you. The last one is 4% down at the bottom there, and that's from the Kalila distillery. And that's what gives it the smoky character. So a very small percentage of the smoky. So once again, there is the old sourcing information. If you look this up now, I believe they don't have the ages on there because they're trying to comply right now. But we would love for them to keep doing this with all of their whiskeys. There is nothing wrong with knowing everything that's in it and not being tricked. So the reason why it is a little bit of a pain, because technically they could disclose just the youngest age. So they could say that this is at least 19-year-old, but then we would never know that there's a 40-year-old and another 40-year-old and another 30-year-old in there. And we may never buy the bottle or care to drink it. So I've already poured some for myself here today. Actually, let me pour just a little bit more here. I just poured this before the video just to retaste it here. This is a new bottle for me. I've only had one small little tasting of this. So let me pour just a tad more in there. We'll move it around a little bit. Beautiful bottle. Beautiful bottle. Let's look at the color. It's dark gold, almost bordering on amber. There you go. It's actually a pretty good depiction there. The smell, the nose. It's definitely that sherry, comparing to the notes that they gave, which is pretty cool. They give you the notes. It's the, so 79% of this is the sherry butt from the Glen Ord distillery, 19-year-old. It's florally. It's fruity, it's sherry, it's flowers, it's a little tiny bit of smoky just on the very edge of the smoky. It's got some vanilla, some like minty coconut taste to it, or smell to it. As far as the taste goes, when it hits your mouth, it's coating it really well. Velvety, coating, stinging. It's got about a medium thickness, but it really coats very nicely on the inside of your mouth. And right up front you get that sherry and that floral and those lighter fruit notes. But then in comes a rush of that grain whiskey. You're getting darker fruits, cocoa, that chocolatey overtone. The buttery really starts to set in the middle, and it fills in nicely. You can almost put your tongue through it. Coconut, vanilla, as they put in their thing here. The coconut for me is not even really as much coconut. It's like a minty coconut, a minty tobacco coconut. And then it's followed at the end by, as they put in their notes too, the smoke. It's an elegant, light smoke taste. So overall, well-balanced, medium finish, medium to long finish. Very well-balanced, I believe. This is a very good blend. It's not a weak blend by any means. Comparing this to the Flaming Heart that I did a couple weeks ago, it's much milder. That sherry, less smoke, much milder, not as bitey, not as in your face. What do I think about this as an overall score, guys? I already wrote it down on here. The only thing I don't like about this bottle is the price. I think it should be about $125 to $135, $140. It would put it on par with other blends of that age that are maybe a little bit more readily available. So they're definitely getting a premium for the price, or for the rarity. 91 out of 100. I think that this is a great centerpiece on your bar bottle. I think it's a good liquid. I think it's a good blend. I think it's a good company. I think it's a good presentation, good story, good all-around blended Scotch whiskey. What do you guys think? Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know if you haven't tried it. Consider picking it up if you can appreciate paying $190 for something that is maybe a little bit overpriced for what it is, but still very, very, very tasty. Next week, I have a couple different things that I can do. I think I'm going to do, I'll get back away from Scotch for a minute. We're going to do the new Crown Royal. You guys are probably seeing this come out. I think it's about $60. We might do the new Crown Royal. That's what I'm thinking. And I might have something fun to show you guys next week too that I might be able to get my hands on this weekend at a estate sale, and it's whiskey related, so it'll be cool for you guys to see. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me here at Whiskey Blooded. This is not a luxury whiskey. This is Whiskey Blooded. My name is Dave. Have a good one.